a lot of the professionals are not just waiting for deals to come their way. They're out there in the market trying to seek them and build relationships. But for the celebrity investors, let's say, people seek you because you've made it. A lot of those investors have a pretty good guideline on where they invest, right? I'll give you an example. Even, let's say, a sophisticated family office, if you reach out to them, and it might not be as clear, they might not have a website. If they have a website, they're not necessarily going to disclose as let's say, a private equity fund would disclose on their website sometimes, like the type of sectors and size companies that they do. You have no idea. But you know that, let's say that this is a family office that does big checks. Well, but you don't know if they would invest in your sector. You don't know if they would do, in some cases, their minimum check might be way above what you're trying to ask for, right? You might be looking for $500,000 for your tech startup, and you go to a family office and they said, "We love what you're doing, but our minimum check is $5 million."
I think that's one of the things. Sorry to interrupt your flow, but from a small business guy being in the entrepreneur world, hearing that is the first time you hear that, you're like, "What?" You have to double take because that sounds so absurd. Like, what do you? Because like most people were like, "Hey, can I get $100,000?"
Yeah.
And they're like, because even just asking for $100,000 feels like a big ask. But then when you hear back, "Hey, I like you a lot, but our minimum check is $100 million," you're like, what planet are we on? Because it is such a huge difference of business size, mentality, and there's so many things that go into that. But the first time I heard that, I had to it was almost like a spit take. Like if it had fluid, you'd be like, "What?"
Yeah. Well, because a good investor is disciplined, right? They're not gambling. So it's not like whoever shows up and says, "Hey, we need 100K. This is going to be the best thing ever. Here's 100." Now, that's where some of the VC companies come in, but they also are very disciplined and they're very sector focused. And a lot of pre-seed VCs, they're backing entrepreneurs that are still in the ideation phase. They have a great idea. They want to figure out how to get it to market. And with the right VC that gives you kind of 100, let's say, to 500,000 check, you can get there. And they know that, and they're taking a lot of risk. But they're also, for the risk they're taking a significant part of your equity, almost like in Shark Tank, right? So if you look at from a more sophisticated family office investor, they're less likely to do a 100K check in a startup. They're more likely to invest in a VC that gives them diversified exposure to that stage of growth. In some cases, it's specific to a sector. So you can invest in a VC that's focused on, let's say, B2B SaaS or biotech or consumer products. The more specific you are, I think the more you are going to be categorizing it internally in your portfolio as a bucket, because you have to look at your portfolio also from a planning perspective. You have to make sure that you have your asset classes kind of within a certain range, and that allows you to be disciplined, to stay within your lane.